Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Listen, Bitcoin so far this year is like the best performing asset. And when you look at its overall record, from back when it first started, it's been in a bull market ever since it first started, to tell you the truth. It's a long-term bull market. And the reason why is because it's so deflationary and there's such a limited quantity of them. Can we actually have a Bitcoin shortage? And the answer is actually yes, because there's a limited quantity of Bitcoin. And I mean, if you're buying some sort of a Bitcoin derivative or something that's derived on the underlying asset, you're not really getting real Bitcoin. I'm talking about a shortage in the real Bitcoin. There's only 21 million, and a lot of them have been lost. And so everybody in the world, because this is a high-performing asset class, in a world where everything is going down, there is actually probably a good chance that it could take off. And if it does take off during a recession, then everybody's going to flock to it. It's just simple as that. Simple arithmetic. And if that actually happens, I mean, this could actually get sort of ridiculous. And how high can this asset class actually go? Well, nobody ever believed it would make it up. When people saw it make it up the first time to like $20, people thought that's astounding. How can this make it to $20? It's all in your way of thinking. What you think is a cheap Bitcoin and what you think is an expensive Bitcoin is all a play on your mind. There really is no upper limit to how high it can go compared to fiat currencies if the fiat currencies are going into a hyperinflation. It all has to do with the purchasing power of one Bitcoin. And that purchasing power absolutely could get to be enormous at a certain point in time. So let's get the charts open and take a look at this. This is very interesting. The Square Cash app is absorbing 10% of the Bitcoin supply daily right now. But this is what gets me. It's projected by 2020, and now 2020 kind of sounds like a long way off, especially if you're a guy like me who grew up when it was 19 this and 19 that, like 1975, 1985. 2020 sounds futuristic to me. I still can't get over it that we're in the year 2019, But 2020 is only a year away. Less than a year away. Actually, we're in May. We just got June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 7 more months. So 7 months away, roughly. They're going to be taking 200% of the Bitcoin supply daily? Well, how can you take 200% of the Bitcoin supply daily? That's the mining supply. That means that, 200% means they're going to be taking 100% of the mining supply plus the equivalent of the mining supply out of the stockpile of Bitcoins that are out there. Square Cash. Let's just read on a little bit here, and let's pull the chart in so we can see this just a little bit better. It says one of the most interesting and advantageous design aspects of the pseudonym creator Satoshi Nakamoto built into Bitcoin was the halving, a pre-programmed point in time which miners received reduced block rewards. Now there's the thing. We have a halving coming up, right? And if these guys are going to take 200%, it says, new earnings report from payment processing app Square Cash, which rolled out a Bitcoin buying to their new users at the end of 2017 and into the start of 2018, suggests that the company is now responsible for absorbing as much as 10% of the current Bitcoin supply mined each day. Furthermore, the growing trajectory of the company's Bitcoin sales could bring the app's impact onto the Bitcoin supply to new heights, responsible for users buying double the daily supply mined of Bitcoins by the next halving, or 200%. Jack Dorsey, founder of the social media platform Twitter and Square Incorporated, the payments processor company behind the Cash App, is amongst Bitcoin's biggest bulls. The entrepreneur believes that the first ever cryptocurrency has a strong chance of becoming the world's global currency for the internet, and is doing all he can to support the leading crypto market cap on this journey toward realizing its full potential. Well, here's the thing. I got news to break to you guys. I don't believe that Bitcoin is ever going to actually become the world's global currency for the internet. But I'm going to preface that. I believe that Bitcoin has another role that it's going to take, and this role is greed. I believe what's going to happen with Bitcoin is this army of HODLers are going to basically start snatching all these Bitcoins up. At a certain point, there's going to be kind of a shortage of where do you get a Bitcoin? Everybody's going to want them. This can only drive the price sky high, and the higher the price goes, the more people are going to snatch them up and put them away and wait for the price to go higher. It's a self-feeding, self-perpetuating cycle, and in the end what it actually leads to is a slowing of network transactions. Nobody in their right mind will be using Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee because everybody's going to want them. Because the price is always going up because everybody's hoarding them. And ultimately what happens is it'll lead to a slowing of network transactions. Instead of, so the scaling problem is solved. Because the transaction volume on the network at a certain point with this thing is going to slow down. Instead of increasing transaction volume, it's going to slow down. But at the same time, you're going to have an established Lightning network that can handle higher transaction volumes. So scaling issue is not going to be a problem. What's going to be the problem is a shortage. Trying to get one's going to be the problem. And the people that have them are not going to be moving them out of their wallets. They're going to be leaving them sit. For the most part, while the value goes higher and higher and higher. This thing's going to go into my prediction only, but I believe this thing's going to go into a hyper bubble. A bubble that is like beyond imagining. And as it goes into this bubble, it's just going to create more and more. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a bleed off at a certain point into these altcoins. And you're going to find certain ones of these altcoins are actually going to start to take up some of the slack of transaction volume. But in particular, the one I'm looking at, it's probably going to, and it's got the Lightning Network established as well, and plus it's got 4 times the, I believe it's, Bitcoin is 10 minutes, and I think it's 2 minutes, Litecoin is much faster for transactions. It's got a much more capability than Bitcoin. At this point, at this stage in the game, I could see Litecoin actually moving up to be the number 2 coin. Bitcoin going into a hyper bubble, gosh only knows how high in price the thing could go in a hyper bubble. I mean, the sky's the limit. You name it, the amount of liquidity that could pour in chasing after these. I mean, it can go into a place where people can't believe that the prices actually went that high, but yet then it goes higher because more people start hopping on board because of the mania. It can go into a mania sort of thing. But eventually what will happen is this bubble will get to a point where it'll pop. How high will the market cap be at that point in time, though? Could be measured in trillions. And this is when mainstream adoption is going to actually start to come in and going to start to actually, everybody's going to know about it, and everybody's going to be buying these things at a certain point. Then she'll fall, she'll crash. Now, this next time she crashes is probably going to be the last time the bubble bursts, a big mega bubble like this, a hyper bubble. But this hyper bubble, I think, is coming. And I think this next crash is going to be really spectacular. this next crash in price on this next hyper bubble. But then at a certain point, it'll start to rise again. Next time it rises and goes into I'll call it the final bubble, but it's not really a bubble because it's not going to pop. That's when you're going to get your transfer of value from everything, the world's everything, into Bitcoin. All of the value of the entire world. And that's when your Bitcoin's going to go into the millions. You know? But it's probably, I'm just going to guess. I'm just going to guess because it's kind of fun to guess. I'm going to guess in this next hyper bubble that Bitcoin is going to surpass $100,000 before it bursts. And then it's going to burst probably down to maybe 15,000, 20,000, something like that. And that's going to give you a chance. One more last chance. And then when she goes into that final bubble, that's when it's going to act like a black hole, a monetary black hole, and it's going to suck in everything into itself. All of the world's value into itself. And that's when it's going to go into the millions. But you're not going to be able to say it's went into the millions because all of the other fiat currencies are going to die. And the cryptos are all that's going to be left for currencies at that point in time. It's all positioning itself. From its very inception, when it began tiny, tiny, tiny. I remember when my mother first told me about these things. I should have went out and bought them. I think they were like $2 or something. You know? But I looked over at her and I said, it's a Ponzi scheme. I don't want that. Little did I know. So maybe 6 months or a year later, you know, I got researching it again on the internet because I heard about it again when Mt. Gox was trading them and stuff. And they were $60. So I wanted to buy one. I said to my mom, I want one. I'm going to pay $60 to get one. Because I did some reading on it, and I said, it's not a Ponzi scheme. This is it dawned on me, this is massive. This is, you know, this is the biggest thing since sliced bread. This is better than the light bulb. And I wanted one, so I tried to buy one from Mt. Gox, and they had some sort of a big hard thing to get in to get them or whatever. I couldn't do the paperwork right or whatever. And while I was doing that, the price went up to $260. So I said to my mother, I missed the boat. I missed out. The prices went up on them. And, you know, then the price started to fall back down. And I did realize a way of buying a little bit. When the price fell back down to about, I think it was like 150 or something it fell back down to anyway. But then I got more interested in mining them, you know. And so I sent away for a mining machine. And it was a little square black box sort of thing, you know. And honest to God, they put me on back order for the thing. And they made me wait and wait. And as the months went by, waiting for this thing, I think I had to wait like 4 months, waiting for it to come. The difficulty kept going up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Now, I could have done really good with that mining machine if they had to send it to me when I ordered it. But instead, they made me wait, you know. And by the time I got it, and I hooked it up and everything. It took me a couple of days to figure out how to work it and everything else. They were very difficult to figure out how to program them and stuff, you know. And I got it running. By the time I finally got it running, it was only making minuscule amounts of Bitcoin. Now, if they sent it to me months earlier when I first ordered it, it would have made some good time Bitcoin. But it was only making minuscule amounts of Bitcoin by the time I got it. Missed out, you know. I tried. I mean, I ordered the thing. I was waiting, and it never delivered. They kept hanging. Do you know what they were doing with it? They were mining with our machines. That's why we were waiting so long. Crummy beggars. Anyway, it's all in the past now. Anyway. This thing, it's slipped through my fingers. I could have had a chance at it. It slipped through my fingers a number of times. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sad, though, because you still haven't missed the boat. I'm finally getting around to trying to buy a little bit, and I'm going to buy like 1% to a time. And I'm saying to myself, well, gee, what's 1%? You know, I mean, it's not much Bitcoin. But here's the thing. I think there's a time coming in the future when this money transfer, all the world's value transfers over into Bitcoin, and 1% is all you're going to need to live your entire life. You know, and I mean, so you haven't missed the boat at this point in time. I'd say to these people out there, to be quite honest, you know, who think they've missed the boat and everything else, just buy 1%. 1%. It'll probably make you a fortune after this thing finally gets where it's going. If all the world's value gets transferred into it. Anyway, you can see I'm a bit of a Bitcoin bull. But the thing is I see which way this thing is going, ultimately, and I also see which way the financial system is going. The financial system right now, and all of these fiat currencies, are going to start losing value very rapidly. I was just reading an article by the Fed, you know, and they're talking about new, more high-enhanced, more high-performance versions of quantitative easing. They're scared. They're scared right now. What's coming? It's scaring them. And they're thinking, what can we do to actually stimulate the economy even better than quantitative easing? So, quantitative easing 4 might never happen. Something bigger and greater might happen than quantitative easing 4. Anyway, listen. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And we'll see you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.